Before I get into this, I just wanted to say thank you. A lot of people are going to be talking about the Switch 2 today. At the time of its announcement, as I'm recording this right now, it's #1 trending on YouTube. A lot of people are going to be talking about this, and you clicked on my video. If you're interested in my opinion about this, you clicked on me, of all people. Seriously, thank you. That means a lot. You could have picked anyone else, but you picked me, and I really appreciate that. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's talk about this thing. Since I hadn't talked about this previously, let's talk about the hype around this thing. The hype around the Switch 2 is it's insane. The hype around this thing is just absolutely insane. There was so many articles talking about it, so many people trying to get ahead of the game and talk about the Switch 2 and what it's gonna be. And people got so ahead of themselves that there would be articles later talking about how it was delayed and all of that, and I just find that funny. I can't help but giggle at that, because if Nintendo themselves didn't originally promise a date, if they hadn't discussed the system before and promised a release date, then there was no delay. That was just your own prediction, and if you're saying that there was a delay, you were just wrong. That's all this is. If Nintendo didn't originally talk about it, then there was no delay. That's silly. That's But now Nintendo actually did talk about it. They're talking about it. It's here. The Switch 2 is here. And I'm just like I'm excited. I'm just as excited as everyone else. I guess I'm like a little kid. I'm excited again. It's just like I hadn't been like this hyped since the Wii. It's like you hearing all these giggles in my voice right now? I'm so giddy. I'm so excited. It's here. And what's funny to me is that it's actually called the Switch 2. It's actually called Switch 2. That wasn't an online filler name. No. It was just called the Switch 2. And as silly as it might sound, I'm actually really happy that it's called the Switch 2, and let me explain why. The Wii U didn't perform very well when that originally came out. I mean, it didn't perform well later anyway. Like, it didn't perform very well, and I think a lot of that problem probably had to do with the name itself. The fact that it was called a Wii U probably had a lot to do with that. Because, like, think about it, like, confused parents being like, but you already have a Wii, and kids being like, no, it's not a Wii, it's a Wii U. Like, but you have a Wii. Or if they just didn't understand the difference between a Wii U and a Wii. And people that are into the hobby, the people who play video games and understand the hobby and all of that, they can understand the difference between a Wii U and a Wii. But a lot of like parents or casual players probably do not understand the difference between that. And that was the general market of the Wii when that came out. It was like a lot of people had a Wii. It was a lot of like casual people. It was a casual market. Like, you would go to your grandma's house and grandma had a Wii, and that's part of what made it so successful. And those kind of people, like, grandma's not gonna know the difference between a Wii and a Wii U. And so I think that's probably what had a lot to do with why the Wii U didn't do so well. And I think the Switch 2 is going to avoid that problem because, well, it's called the Switch 2. The 2 is in its name right there. I think even casual people can understand that 2 is a sequel, and I think parents can get behind that idea, like, oh, it's a Switch 2. It is new. It is right there. It's a sequel. It's right there in its name, and I think even casual people can understand the difference between that. Like, oh, it's not a Switch, it's a Switch 2. And already, I think they can avoid the Wii U problem already just by calling it the Switch 2, and I think that is, like, it's genius. It's great. And now let's talk about the design of this thing. Oh my word, it looks so clean. I mean, you watched the trailer already. You're probably looking at it already while I'm talking about it, while I'm gushing about this thing. It is so clean. It is so nice. It is, I don't know what else to say about it. It's like, it's such a clean design. It is so nice. Already we see we have one in black. I think this thing would look fantastic in white. I would love to see a white one. I would also love to see a design of like the classic Switch style of one red, one blue. I really like the one red, one blue look because it makes me think of player 1, player 2 if you're doing a multiplayer or something like that. But man, I would just love to see a white one. It already looks fantastic in black. I'd love to see a a white one. Let me see a white one. Please let it come in white. And already with the Switch 2, we can see that there's a difference in the Joy-Con. They seem to be magnetized. They just snap in place. They snap, they plug in, just click right on the side. It looks so satisfying. It looks so nice. It looks so easy and convenient to use. And when it pops out, when it snaps out and you see the side buttons on there, it already looks so much easier to use compared to the previous Joy-Cons, because that is a complaint that I have for the original Joy-Cons, is if you're going to use those, if you're playing multiplayer with multiple friends coming over to your house, like we do that a lot with like Boomerang Fu and Ultimate Chicken Horse. Would get those Joy-Cons out and you have to play with those really tiny buttons on the top, and it's just not very easy to use. And yeah, sure, it did come with those little slidey, like they came with more, like, what am I trying to say, like thicker buttons that you were able to clip onto it, slide on the top of it, but it was just so inconvenient to try to put those on every time you wanted to use them. So it was just easier to try to like be frustrated and try to click the tiny buttons on top of the Joy-Cons. But this looks like it avoids that problem. It's already there. They're bigger buttons. It's already there, and the Joy-Cons themselves, the system itself is bigger, as we were able to see in the trailer. So these Joy-Cons look like they're gonna be a lot more comfortable to use, especially if you take one out and use just a single Joy-Con for multiplayer games, and I'm looking forward to that. It looks much more convenient, a lot more comfortable to use, and yeah, I'm excited to play Boomerang Fu and Ultimate Chicken Horse on these things, on these Joy-Cons. I'm excited for that. And also we saw the little kickstand on the back of it. It's wider, it bends quite a bit. It looks significantly better than the kickstand that was on the original Switch. That thing was not standing up. It did not work. The Switch needed to be like propped up on a something anyway, just for it to work. That kickstand was not standing. So we got an improvement on the kickstand, we got an improvement on the Joy-Cons, and that's what we're able to see in the trailer, and that I'm already looking forward to that. That already looks like a big improvement. But I know a lot of people are probably going to go into the designs of the Switch 2, and they'll probably go into a deeper dive in a way that I would not be able to understand, and that is totally fine. I do want to also get into game predictions, because I'm someone that likes to think ahead like that too. That's how I want to try to make myself stand out a little bit, is just talk about games that could probably happen for this thing. And well, first of all, what we already know is that Metroid Prime 4 was in the works for a while. It's promised to come out this year, and I think it is going to be the launch title for the Switch 2. There's no way that it isn't. I do think like the launch title for the Switch 2 is going to be Metroid Prime 4. Seriously, again, there's just no way that it's not. Unless if there was like say Mario, for example. If we had a Mario game in the works for a while, that might be a launch title. But other than that, it really is just safe to say that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the launch title. I've heard a couple of people say that they think Pokemon Legends ZA is going to be the launch title, but like, granted, I would welcome that. I would love that, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, and that's only just because Pokemon does not play by the same rules as other games. The original Legends game, Legends Arceus, that came out a while ago, released in January, and games, like media in general, do not typically perform well in January, and it still sold like hotcakes. They were able to release a game in January immediately after the holiday season, and it still sold well. Why? Because it's Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't play by the same rules. They can release a game after the release of a brand new console on an older console, and it's still going to sell well anyway because it's Pokemon. It's like, again, I would welcome it. I would absolutely welcome Pokemon to be released on the Switch 2. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely be hyped about that. I would welcome it, but I'm saying that I'm not expecting it because they don't need to do that. Now, I do want to go back to Mario real quick because I did say maybe there is a chance that it's a launch title, but even if it's not, there's no way that we're not going to get a Mario game. And I just want to predict along the lines that it's going to be like the Bowser's Fury mini game that we got in, what is it, Mario 3D something something? I can't even remember. Bowser's Fury was the important part of it, let's be honest. I think we're going to get a bigger, grander, larger scale version of Bowser's Fury, essentially. So like a game that the world is all intertwined and it's all like there's no loading screens. You can just run, you can go there, you can plop, 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 whatever, like you're all over the place. And I just think it's going to be something like that. Even if the gameplay isn't necessarily the same, I just think it's all going to be one interconnected large world with no loading screens. Kind of the same deal like Bowser's Fury. I just think that's just what the next Mario game is going to be like. And there is probably a Mario game that's been in the works for a while. Who knows? But yeah, of course, that's not necessarily a big prediction though. Like Mario's a safe bet. Legend of Zelda's a safe bet. Of course we're going to get those games eventually at some point. Those are safe bets. What's not safe bets though is probably returns of previous franchises that hadn't had attention in a while. And if I'm going to be making any predictions at all, I guess would be more of a wish list than anything. I would be so hyped if they made an Earthbound 3D. I know, wishful thinking, I understand, I get it, but I would love if they remade Earthbound in the style of Link's Awakening with the very glossy toy look. And I think we're more likely to get a game like that than they ever are to ever release Mother 3. I just think we're doomed. We're probably never gonna get Mother 3. But I would say that there's a bigger chance that they would make a 3D Earthbound, just remake Earthbound, than they ever are to release Mother 3. And even then, I can understand that's like a wish list thing. They might not ever do that, but I would love it. But I might just go ahead and say, like, you know what, do it. The Switch 2 might be the time to take some risks. As long as they do it in a way that it's not going to get in the way of Switch sales and regular Switch games. Cause I don't know what I'm talking about. I just want an Earthbound, okay? Or maybe F-Zero. I hadn't really been into the series before, the series previously, but I don't see why not. I think maybe they would release another like F-Zero game. Maybe they'll finally give it a chance because I think they had been testing the waters with that with F-Zero 99 for one, and they also put F-Zero themed tracks in Mario Kart 8. So I think they were testing the waters to see if people were interested in the F-Zero series again, and I think they had been taken quite well. So I think they were already testing the waters with that, excuse me. And I don't see how it would be not a safe bet to say that we are probably getting an F-Zero game. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in there as a prediction. F-Zero, write that down. Quote me on it. Bet. I don't know. No bet. I can't lose money. And then later down the line, I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of ports and whatnot. We're probably going to get ports of older games onto the system. And if this thing is a stronger Switch, if it could run games better on it, then we're probably going to get like newer-ish games to be able to be ported onto the Switch. Like previously, we were only getting things that could be as powerful as like a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3 game that would get ported over to the Switch. Like, do we really have do we have games that could be more powerful than like Ni no Kuni that actually runs well? Like, that's a genuine question. Like, it's like, I know we got Ni no Kuni, we got Final Fantasy series on the Switch, and if the Switch 2 can handle it, then maybe we can get more powerful games. Because like, what Final Fantasy even comes up to? Does it go up to like 12? I don't know. Let me know if I got that wrong. But I'm sure eventually at some point they could port games like Final Fantasy 15 onto it. Like, if it's strong enough to handle it, then I want games like 15 and other like PlayStation 4 games that hadn't had any love in a while. Like, give it some love on the Switch 2. But yeah, if the Switch 2 is powerful enough to handle PlayStation 4 games like that, then like that is something that I wanted to address too. Just like, if it's powerful enough to handle it, if it can do that, and especially with these games that are on cartridges, then I know what I'm trying to say, but I lost the words there. I really just hope that like Xbox and Sony can like PlayStation, Xbox can take notes on how to handle games, essentially, because especially if the Switch 2 can run well and handle games, especially with the return to cartridge. This is what I want to mostly talk about, is that the return to cartridges and the fact that it's backwards compatible and we're using cartridges for these games and all of that. I really, what I'm tired of from like PlayStation, for example, is like I remember getting like Hogwarts Legacy and we put the game in. I bought it physically and I had to download the game anyway when I put the disc in, and I just don't understand that. I bought the game physically, why do I still need to download the game? That is something that I really don't enjoy and something that I don't understand. Why did I go to the store and buy a physical copy of a game that I wanted and need to download it anyway? Don't get me wrong, I love my PlayStation 5. The games on that have been great. They have been incredible. They have been gorgeous and it's like fun and gorgeous. I love my PlayStation 5. I really do. But I really just don't enjoy buying a game physically and then having to download it anyway. And that's just where I was coming from. That's what I'm trying to say here. Is like when it comes to the Switch 2 and the return to cartridges and all that, I just really hope that it would be the beginning to the end of that. I could just pop in a game and be able to play it because it's there, the entire game in the cartridge. Just let me plug it in and just pop the game in and I can play the game. Like that shouldn't be too hard, should it? I really don't understand it. Now, I understand that there could be some day one patches, there could be like glitches and whatnot to be fixed later, and I get that, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm talking about just the ability to be able to put the game in and to be able to play it. Like, is it necessary to have the day one patch to play it? Like, can I just, like hit the B button and continue on with the game? Can I just play the game? I rambled on for quite a bit already. I've already ran out of notes that I kept here on my phone. And yeah, I guess I could just wrap it up there. If you clicked this video, you liked hearing my opinion, then thank you. Just thank you for listening to me ramble. Thank you for wanting to hear my opinion of all people's. I really do appreciate that. And if you want to listen to me ramble on about something else, why not subscribe to the channel? Alright, I guess that's about it though. See you next time.